with an incredible view. We will build a magnificent complex, sunsets. I say, let's go.
Now there's a new trend to do nothing and earn a lot.
36% per year. And this truly captivated me completely. An innovative city of the future. A mountain river merges with the ocean, up to the point that the third richest family in Indonesia lives near us in this location.
Gaining an understanding of the philosophy of Bali without an open heart is quite a difficult task.
Dima, hello.
Anya, hello.
I have known you for a considerable amount of time. And have been selling your property that generates income. Now there's a new trend to do nothing and earn a lot. It seems you're doing great at it and have a good sense for good objects. Tell us, please, how do you generally manage to do this and what do you do for it?
It most likely started in 2010 when I entered into the bond of matrimony with my spouse. The thing is, before I got married, I used to work until around 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. was limited to being kicked out of the office by security guards. During that period, I already possessed a tire business, and I am currently still engaged in its operation. When the wife appeared, she set conditions for me, softly enough. She says, I would like to see you all evening. I believed I needed to make changes in my life, become more efficient. Then I reviewed what I was doing, eliminated truly unnecessary things, and found more time available for me to prioritize what truly matters in life. The subsequent step, in the 15th year, my first child came into existence and was born. And it was imperative to arrive at least 2 hours in advance. Well, because, so to speak, you might even risk missing the papacy, and you have an obligation to provide assistance. I reviewed a few more moments on how to become more efficient.
To my knowledge, you have 3 kids, so you've minimized as much as possible.
Thank God.
Next step was, I already had second child, so everything that can be optimized with children, in my opinion. In the year 2019, I experienced a very impactful period of restructuring. I began trading oil on the exchange, and at a certain moment, it transpired that while I was having a meal and trading in a cafe, I was making more money than my entire company, which consisted of 15 people, in a span of 1 or 2 weeks. Thanks to this, such a significant conversation happened to take place at that particular moment. I spoke to my colleagues and I told them, guys, listen, I am unable to work anymore as I have a new hobby. Or you grasp the fact that you still need this business and become more independent, thus increasing your self-reliance. And I'm ready to support you sometimes, go to meetings with suppliers in Taiwan, to exhibitions in Europe. Here are key things. That is, to lessen their involvement, well, generally, just to important moments. People agreed, they say, yes, we're ready. And it worked, it still works to this day. But this courage to let go of control helped me, this certain second parallel source of income. I was extremely impressed at that time. Additionally, in the year 2019, New Year 2019, we spent at Cap Ferrat near Nice, and there were a number of changes that happened there. My friend who lives in Nice actively invests in real estate, and thanks to our communication, I understood that sooner or later, all wealthy people come to real estate. And the smaller the real estate format, the better. It so happened that in 2019, thanks to this wintering and rethinking, I started looking at real estate. And the first serious investment I made is in the Viende aparthotel developed by Beccaro, which is an object of great value.
And where did you get the investments for this resource? Are these credit loan funds or are they personal?
I acquired it in installments, submitted an application for a mortgage utilizing these specific numbers. Conditions offered right about 12% at that time. I sat, counted, it falls short of expected. I determined that this is a lot. I learned that you can opt for a longer installment plan gradually over time. For some of the numbers, I received a large installment plan. I built a financial model of all this. COVID persisted.
Yep, you've reached the coolest.
I found myself in the most incredible moment, and as expected, I started to feel quite nervous. That's absolutely true, without a doubt. I was nervous for about 1.5 years here.
But then you were content.
And then I was just happy, yes, in general, in the end. Everything happened, everything came true. I can't say that everything went smoothly. There were certain difficulties. However, thanks to my character qualities, I was able to overcome all challenges and obstacles that came my way. And in the 22nd year, all payments, entirely down to the very last penny, were completely closed. Initially, I intended to take 16 numbers, but somehow it ended up that I took 40.
Did you decide on a management company or were there options?
No, not immediately. My main criterion in the management company was not the percentage it takes for management, but how much net money I will receive from the number per year, because there is such a trick with management companies that they can actually draw any profits through marketing research and so on, some additional expenses.
We know how you do it.
Yes, things that can be, you see, my approach worked like from a company that is based on trust, but focused on the result.
We currently have a lot of guys who want to join this investment path, but they really have a little money. Here, I still want to understand 3 to 5 million. Is this a sufficient amount for this first step? And in general, how relevant is it to begin earning and come to this goal as you did? Do nothing yet earn a lot?
Recalling my experience, i.e., when I embarked on installment payments for a total of 40 rooms, I had approximately 10% of the overall amount. Kindly wait for a moment. It is highly likely that this was the root cause of a considerable number of my anxieties and worries. An important moment is how you make a decision. So even having 3 to 5 million rubles, it is important to think about whether there are people in your circle of communication who have achieved the success you dream of. And it is of utmost importance to go to them, initiate a conversation, and directly pose your question to ensure clarity and obtain a prompt response. Probably decisive. Well, not decisive. Soft skills with communication will play an important role. That is, when you have come up with something, when you have your own opinion, and it is based on something, because now there are many opinions, bloggers, everyone expressing something, easy to get confused. And the only thing that can steer you in the right direction is some kind of inner feeling, intuition, and the presence of this criticism. Accordingly, the case is not solely about the amount of money, but rather about the correctness and validity of decision-making processes. Invest with 3 or 5 million. The main thing is to understand what you're doing. Accordingly, if you don't have successful multimillionaires in your circle of communication, accordingly, you need to either find them or ask your friends. Or seek guidance from a specialist who is well known and highly regarded in their field of expertise. However, even when consulting with any specialist, you need to have your own opinion. You can go through life without taking action, without taking risks, living very calmly. And life will pass by swiftly. This year, I reached the age of 40, and it made me reflect on the passage of time. You know, life is not as vast and infinite as it appeared during childhood.
I am aware that you have recently started on the journey of investing in real estate located in foreign countries. Tell me, please, what thought, another hunch led you to Bali? I would like to know the reason behind your decision. Why Bali in the end?
My first urge and attempt was mining. I went to the exhibition, the Bitcoin Miami conference, agreed to have a mega mining, and the person I agreed with didn't contact me for a month. So in the end, I managed to reach him, and he said very simply that, the exhibition was very successful and my business grew 50 times. The offer I made to you is no longer valid. Here are the new terms. But the conditions were like that. I always earn. How about you? And all the risks are on you. I decided this isn't an option. Also decided, I think, well, if it doesn't work, then I'll say thank you later. And indeed, when Bitcoin dropped from 60,000 to 16, I, so to speak, expressed gratitude and conveyed to those who, so to speak, guided me away from all this. Well, the second choice was real estate, because it is a classic. My principle is also to avoid going against the wind. Positively, it is evident that in a positive sense. Therefore, if the economy is progressing in a certain location and everything is going smoothly, then it serves as a favorable factor for me. When we resided in Argentina, there existed a highly impressive networking, numerous prosperous entrepreneurial individuals, businessmen, and by the way, they immediately advised me good agents in Bali and Dubai.
And why did the scales tip in favor of Bali, not Dubai? Because as far as I know, Dubai is already overheated, to be honest, the market. I was absolutely certain that you would primarily visit Dubai.
Received several offers. When there were proposals for a complex that is currently under construction for $7,000, and it will still be under construction for 3 to 4 or 5 years, I had a question. How much will I sell it for if it already costs 7 now, and who will even buy it? Due to this life hack in real estate investments, the pricier the property, the less liquid and lower the ROI it offers. So this is the rule. That is,
Did the economy win or intuition, your personal miscalculations for the future?
so my request in general won, which means that I did not limit either Bali or Dubai. And I won a call from my friend from Bali who said that, Dimon, hello, here are 2 numbers. The person was going to make a down payment and, well, something happened to him. He didn't make it. Here, give you all, she says, just for me. Took for me for mom. He says, I'm sure. And at that moment, I had already been studying the markets of Bali and Dubai for 2 months. And I realized that its offers were really interesting. I say, I take 2 days to think. Food is important for decision making. So I wasn't an expert in Bali real estate, but when 3 or 4 professionals who know the Bali market well tell me the same thing, that's how I form my personal opinion. I went to the consulate, created a power of attorney.
In 2022, Indonesia's economic growth accelerated to 5.31%, marking the highest rate since 2013. Indonesia's annual gross domestic product growth is expected to reach 5% by the end of 2023, according to global macro models of trading economics and analysts' expectations. In the long term, Indonesia's annual gross domestic product growth is projected to be around 20% in 2024 and 4.70% in 2025. The core inflation rate in Indonesia averaged 3.64% from 2008 to 2023. In the long term, according to global macro models of trading economics and analysts' expectations, the core inflation rate in Indonesia is projected to be around 2.60% in 2024 and 2.70% in 2025. Over the past 5 years, the United States dollar to Indonesian rupiah currency pair rate has varied, with deviations ranging from -9% to +1% compared to the average value. In July 2023, Indonesia welcomed 12 million foreign tourists, a figure that is 35% lower than the average number seen in pre-COVID years. As of early 2023, Indonesia's population stood at 290 million, constituting 3.5% of the global population and ranking 4th worldwide. Domestic tourism in Bali is approximately 4 times larger than international tourism. In a realistic scenario of a 30-year leasehold with a 15% return and freehold with an 8% return, the difference in income over 30 years is $605,000 United States dollars, or 80%.
Sent it to Bali.
Did you do it remotely or did you go see it?
The joke is that I did it remotely. That is naturally such a high level of skill.
Agreed, yes, daredevil.
Daredevil, yes. So I had faith in those individuals, well, my comrade, and it is highly likely that almost everyone present at that particular moment ended up becoming friends with each other. I believed in that. I believed in these people. We knew each other for years. Boldly agree, but there was an installment plan, my fave. On one hand, it's a risk. On the other hand, it's a multiplier or leverage for earning big money with smaller amounts. The owner of this initial complex, in which I purchased 2 apartments, traveled to Argentina. Here, Mark Ivanov. We came across him, formed a bond, and cultivated a friendship with him. And he says, let's go together. I have a great plot with an incredible view. We will build a magnificent complex with breathtaking sunsets that will leave us in awe of nature's beauty and create lasting memories. I say, let's go. Here. I arrived in Bali in the month of May and became a shareholder in the company.
What was the most attractive aspect of this location for you? Was it the characteristics of the species? Sunset occurs every evening, or is it due to the presence of certain objects nearby?
So I will commence with the sensations for now, because everything initiated with sensations, because, I am fond of the ocean. So if you ask there 10 years ago, how would I like to live? Here's something similar I would describe.
However, many visualize Bali for understandable reasons that everyone can grasp.
They are drawing something, but Bali fits into this picture, so to speak. I was surprised, first of all, that summer is all year round. I didn't know in this area the 4 seasons aren't expressed, and it's summer all year. Stable profitability, which at that time was 12-13% in dollars. Not to mention the fact that I earned an incomplete amount of money. If you take into account that I contributed just 30%, it actually turns out to be 36% per year at this place. And this truly captivated me completely.
Is it valid even during the period of rainfall?
From November to May, yes. I have experience. I do not know what is next, but it is November and May. It is both rain and not rain. In principle, a favorable weather spread. This genuinely impressed me. And working in conjunction with the management company, since I have prior experience with different managers, I really appreciated it. And up until the 15th, with no additional reminders, the sum was evidently resting in my wallet. The initial aspect I appreciate, mountain river merges with the ocean. Mountain river merges with the ocean. So for me, this is a very good sign. Continuing about signs, I like that the neighbors are all up to the point that the 3rd richest family in Indonesia lives near us in this location. It is evident that this is most probably their country residence, as they are currently in Jakarta. However, these individuals still possess life experience and opt for precisely these types of locations. And plus, when I found out that an innovative city of the future is being built 500 meters away, and I love innovative things. Is he already building?
Is it just planned?
He has already started to launch, as it is a large project worth $150 million. $50. It is entered, of course, gradually. At present, the school is already launched and operating, specifically the primary school with a Cambridge license, which happens to be the only one in Bali. It is already known for certain that there will be a middle school within the next 3 years. Approximately 8 or 10 hectares are designated for educational purposes in the project. So there will be different educational institutions, apparently, such as a college and other similar establishments. The beach club is scheduled to launch in November of this year. Furthermore, in this kind of, I would describe it, contemporary Balinese style. That is, the preserved Balinese style and high technologies are clearly felt. I have never seen a beach club in Bali in this style before.
There appears to be some sort of well-known temple where all people congregate.
Yes, next to the temple, a large number of tourists flow exactly to Tanah Lot. At present, to be completely honest, the Cimagi district is not highly developed in terms of infrastructure and amenities.
We only honestly...
Yes, just like Chingu or Pereira, for example. Or there is Seminyak and so on. But since the project is ours, we expect the construction to be completed in the 3rd quarter. Developers indicate the 3rd quarter, but we communicate to our clients globally that it is actually the 4th quarter. Consider a stock. Look at the performance in the 4th quarter of 2024 for analysis. If we compare our hours with the Nuanu project, by the end of next year, no less than 50% of the complex will be launched there. about 10,000 square meters of food court. Helipad, I'm not sure when it will be, and it's not just a helipad, it's a heliport where there will be helicopter service. At the moment, for example, in Bali, as far as I know, for the helicopter service, they fly to Jakarta because there is no official helicopter service in Bali for many brands. A rare sight in Bali is pedestrian paths. So in general, you can take a walk in Sanur with a stroller, with children, or just walk or ride a bike. And in Nuanu, there are bridges, streams nearby, tracks, and all done in one style, So it's not just a cut, yes, because in some areas, for example, here is a restaurant, here is a cafe, here is a dentistry, and everything is in different styles and so on.
In a unified way.
In a unified style, yes.
What is the distance to your project location?
If straight, then 500 meters. 500 meters, well, in my opinion, not far.
Agreed, on foot, definitely.
We also intend to conduct infrastructure integration in that area to maximize convenience. Additionally, in the evening, while enjoying the sunset, you have the option to take a leisurely stroll to a nearby restaurant and have a great time. In other words, essentially, they have allocated the stages of construction based on their importance. That is, it is clear that festivals, beach clubs, and so on are more in demand than, for example, a laundry. Accordingly, in principle, by the end of next year, there will already be a place where you can eat luxuriously. This is about 10,000 square meters, about a food court. 3,000 square meters will be allocated for children's space, which is very important to me. Adjacent to us, there are small rocks in close proximity to the temple, which ultimately creates a significant impact. Here are the local children. I observed them swimming. That is, the bottom is sandy, but in front of these stones that cut the waves and create such a mini lagoon.
So surfers will enjoy it there as well?
And a great spot for riding the waves. Where the waves are cut, there are swimming spots in the opposite direction from the river, 500 meters away. There is a surfing school.
Excellent.
So this is a surfing school, not one you come to, you are taken by bus for 20 minutes somewhere. No, this is a surf school where you come, they provide you a board, and you go surfing.
Awesome.
Here. And I also have a deep love for surfing.
Have you tried it yet?
Yes.
Well, what is your opinion? Is this project primarily for investors or for individuals? Because I overheard in the conversation that you will be staying by yourself in the apartment.
Yes, I intend to reside there, and furthermore, I desire for my children to attempt studying at this Cambridge school because it caters specifically to children aged 4 to 12. Children coming.
It is a positive indication when the builder resides in his own apartments.
Yes, well, I trust this project because I've invested a substantial amount, probably the majority, of my free funds in this project. So for me, well, you could almost say I am fully into it.
Is this a complete first line?
This is a fully fledged first line. That is unlike most projects in Bali, which claim to be on the first line. When you start clarifying, it turns out that it is 200, 300, 500 meters to the sea, and the ocean can only be seen from the rooftop in a jump or in a certain location. So we have the first line that is behind the wall, we have water.
This is, well, a risk overall. You cannot predict natural disasters, well.
Judging by their stance, the type of houses in the district, particularly those standing for the past 20, 30 years, appear to be in good condition. This is one. Secondly, when I asked this question, I specifically approached the responsible person in the architectural team, and I stated that I wanted to know the exact amount of our minimum point in this situation. In relation to the level of the sea, considering the disparity in elevation between the two reference points, they stated that the height would be 2.4 meters. If the water actually rises to this level, I believe that Bali's shape will undergo significant changes, affecting not only Bali, but also everything in its vicinity.
In general, this is considered safe. It is a relatively secure place to reside. Well, and the structures that hold the building, they reliable. We all just know how they build in Bali. It is probable that we will not compare European construction quality with that of Balinese construction. Did you foresee this, Dmitry?
So, I was also impressed with the quality of construction and specifically our construction company because I built my house from scratch. I had a level area with grass and trees, and I constructed a house entirely, making sure to pay attention to every detail and ensure its completion in all aspects. And in Bali, as it turns out, great attention is paid to seismic activity, which is of significant importance in this region. As far as I remember, our building meets the standards. I think it's 8 points. It can withstand something for a few seconds or minutes, that is the maximum level. The foundation is larger with underground columns, like tree roots, that support the building during seismic activity and provide stability for its structure. Accordingly, not all developers, of course, do this. I saw all this in the project. Just now there was a stage, I don't know if it has already ended or not, drilling and laying of these reinforced concrete columns, parts of the foundation. In general, when I engaged in the project, I uncovered numerous intricacies and particulars. Certain individuals claim that constructing in Bali is effortless and uncomplicated, but when constructing a hotel that requires a hotel license, due to the fact that the land on which the complex is being built is designated as pink, there are a considerable number of complexes being built on green land where construction is forbidden, as it is agricultural land.
Please explain what is the color scheme of the land plots.
The land is characterized by a specific land use class or classification. That is, here we have it observed, which is very important because building a project of this scale without quality due diligence, checking documents from the land and the company, I consider it too risky. Thus, the crumbs that are saved can eventually transform into substantial issues of great concern.
In Bali, there are lots of things to buy, including villas. This is a highly popular request in Bali. Why could your apartments be of interest to a buyer? Let's refrain from discussing profitability at this moment. We will address it shortly, but focusing specifically on the aspects of location, quality, in greater detail.
Therefore, when I make an investment, I make an effort to adhere to a single, uncomplicated rule in order to ensure the best outcome and minimize risks. Find unique features of the object. If it is real estate, I call it having an ace up my sleeve all the time. That is, in the event that something goes awry, these particular moments will always be of great assistance and provide me with invaluable support and guidance. So, primarily what truly captivates me is the incredibly authentic initial sentence. Not just first line, it's side of sunsets. So I've learned sunsets will be all year. Only sunset's location will shift, but it'll always be visible from this side. So I am talking about observing a large number of objects that are pseudo first line, that is 200, 300 meters. There are indeed places with a first line, but typically the price starts from $500,000 for something in those locations. That is not to mention the regulations in place there. This is one. Secondly, the team that is currently in the process of building for us consists of proven individuals with whom we have already built successful projects in the past. This is the third apartment complex. They all constructed exchanges, 22 exchanges. For me, the beauty salon next to the restaurant Hubble in Chungu is probably the most important indicator. Its location and proximity make it a crucial factor in my decision-making process. There is indeed both design and construction quality at a high level. Probably the best characteristic for construction in Bali is that it can be compared to the quality level of construction in Russia.
To my knowledge, even celebs go to this salon, right?
Yes, there were bloggers and well-known individuals. Yes, indeed, absolutely. Yes, I even trimmed my hair at that place by myself. I really liked it, yes. I am quite impressed with the outcome here. Not to mention that the team of specialists also built objects. There is a villa which, in my opinion, took first or second place in terms of architecture and construction quality. In my view, that was the nomination. I'm sure the object will be built with quality. It's always there with mold, with standards, with norms. It is closed off and inaccessible, creating a sense of exclusion for me. Until the technology of concrete and the quality control of concrete itself are in place, which is of utmost importance, because it is where the box and load-bearing structures are constructed, using concrete as the primary material for their fabrication and strength. I like the approach of our builders. As I have experience with construction, I can say that I built the house completely myself.
In Bali, there is increased humidity.
Yes.
That's why fungi appear.
Yes, first of all, this is related to inadequate waterproofing and a variety of other issues associated with materials from the construction technology. Therefore, all of these factors are taken into consideration. Additionally, given that this is the first line, special coatings are utilized in order to provide protection against the corrosive effects of salt. Metal products are utilized to a minimum extent, almost not utilized on the facades. And in general, metal is at a minimum because on the front lines, yes, it instantly rusts and so on.
Is this a chamber project at all? A large number of rooms?
13 unit.
So there is a small competition among those who will rent out their rooms?
Moderate, so to speak, taking into account that around 30–35% are comprised of friends, acquaintances, comrades, and ourselves in actuality. Acquiring from there, then, in essence, it is not an overly substantial quantity. As an illustration, during the pre-sale stage, the cost of the second floor amounted to $185,000 for a room measuring 64 square meters in area. And now it's priced, since a significant portion of the rooms on the second floor have already been chosen, the price is $230,000. If it is not essential for you to have the best view on the second floor, then from an investment point of view, at the current prices, it is the first floor.
Because on the first day, is there their own land, right?
On first floor, all rooms have own small pool. Most important thing from investment point of view, i.e. price, is practically starting with us 210K because...
Did the sales of this project start? For what period did you manage to sell all this already?
We began sales roughly 6 months ago, which is equal to half a year, but the key point is that there were sales occurring. Closed, let's end it, okay?
Old-fashioned radio.
Even in this case, I'm telling you, a large portion has already been sold. So significant sales started now, when construction began in May. And the box is slowly getting bigger. The ground floor is already at this time.
Does the project have a website where you can see the progress of construction?
Yes.
Project documentation, is it all uploaded on your website?
Yes, there is a channel where a report on the construction progress is posted every 2 weeks.
And there will be a management.
And we possess our very own management company, with which I have had work experience. Initially, I invested in numbers, and I have complaints about them, about them initially.
And I'll have my own account to monitor the overall occupancy of the entire number fund. If I took, I don't know, 5 apartments, either I only see mine or I see everything. Can you explain how this is distributed? The method of excavation, as we have here, is primarily utilized for the majority of the project at hand.
From a personal standpoint, the manager sent me a report in Telegram by the 10th of the subsequent month following the reporting period, as per our usual practice. In the report, I saw how you talk about workload, some news, and what events, by the way, are being held.
The location of the project.
Yes, weekly networking events for children, similar occasions, etc. If it's New Year, celebrations also take place inside the complex to mark the occasion.
But is it only for residents of this complex, or can neighbors also come to the parties?
I believe residents and pals.
But will it be a closed territory? This is a closed area.
This is a closed territory. I am currently here. What is your viewpoint or perspective on income?
Concerning your earnings?
Income distribution method, i.e. boiler planned in room numbers. Yes.
Who does not know the boiler is the best? This eliminates some corruption when they come, give, whoever can, and say, please give me my ticket if you would be so kind.
Yes, and in the initial complex where I received passive income, there was already a method for heating water using a boiler. That is, this is not a theory that is planned to be implemented sometime, but this is already a proven history. Also, in accordance with this, we are in the process of planning and currently working on implementing various types of automation, smart keys, and on-off switching mechanisms.
What about smart home?
Something like that, yes. You can say so, yes. You can say so. I like it too. I am a fan of all innovations within reasonable limits, so to speak. What else do I like about the complex? In addition to the fact that this place and everything that happens there corresponds to my vision of life, how I would like to live, the second important point is to ground the image coolly so that it works. I have formulated for myself such a moment that if I continue to acquire real estate, it should be either a cottage settlement or an apartment hotel with management and staff. Suppose we are departing at this moment for a couple of months to reside somewhere with our family. We return, and each time we seek a cleaning person, nannies, well, all the personnel in general, we have to search once more because, well, but it's quite nerve-wracking. People you worked with won't wait for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, yes. And of course, this is not cool. Here, in this regard, when you have this complex, you have a manager, you have cleaning, which you don't have to worry about. You have a restaurant on site where you can easily order food without leaving your room, or there is a convenient poolside drink service available for your enjoyment. Either I love going to the pool, or I also love going to the beach. That's how I love.
So, you've used all the services needed for comfortable living in your project?
Yes.
Is there a laundry there too?
Here, we have an extremely large minus the first floor service, which includes a laundry room. I won't be surprised if we also have a dry cleaner of some level there. Also a fully self-sufficient complex.
Does a lot of money go into this content?
That's an excellent question. Currently, we are budgeting $180 per month to cover our expenses and financial obligations. And I even think that despite all the inflation and so on, we should be able to fit into this figure and at the same time ensure that we provide a sufficiently high level of service. X-class utility bills, that is electricity, gas, and what else, not in kilo.
Is Bali the most expensive for communal services? Here is Turkey, for example. I know that electricity is insanely expensive there. And in Bali?
I would also mention electricity, probably first of all, because air conditioners often work almost around the clock. The cost of electricity in Bali is approximately at the same level as in Florida. That is about 8 to 10, 12 cents, depending on the contract. In my opinion, the cost is considerably lower compared to Europe, where it currently stands at around 20 cents and possibly even 30 cents.
No, well, even 13% is a good return.
This is a real good clean yield, yes.
Dima was gazing into my eyes, therefore he is conveying the truth.
Do I not always gaze into your eyes? No, not at all times. Not consistently, I concur. Why am I discussing the number 20 and attributing a significantly high likelihood to it? Because the first floor is exactly the price close to the starting one. I mean, I'm not talking about when the price is $260,000 or $280,000 per room there. I think 20% is already unreal. Already not actual. And this is confirmed, by the way, by the story with the first complex. For example, I entered for 110,000. All prospects appearing by 20% by the end of this year, a year after operation. And I already sold for 150, and I later heard someone sold for 165 after me in a few months. Attention, buy complex for 150 or 165, you'll have 8 to 10% yield. So we proceed. 8, 10% IM, we reach it. Classic global level, good, which is ubiquitous. So if you just arrived looking handsome, didn't take any risks, took everything ready, well, here's 8 to 10% for you as a token of appreciation. If you take it, you're taking risks, seeing the perspective of area development, etc. So here you have a 20% profitability for the risks taken and the perspective gained. So the second floor, which is already at $230,000, I believe that 20% is an inflated figure. And moreover, another figure, what I call a financial model that we calculated, it's practically does not take into account the development of Nuance, what is next to us. That is such a bonus of the entire project, these figures. They will grow up, can grow significantly, yes, but it's very difficult to promise because it's difficult to be responsible for others. For instance, in Nuanu, it is anticipated that there will be a total of 3.5 million visitors who will visit the area on an annual basis.
These are good numbers.
And considering that the entrance will be paid, that is, it will not cost much there, but this automatically filters out the audience.
Yes, emphasizes project importance.
And it conveys the importance to the project, and of course these funds can be directed to something beneficial.
I think we'll have to build a second one next to it because the load on your number will be... In Bali, at least, as my friends and acquaintances argue, more frequently than not, they still opt to purchase villas. Why did you decide to invest in apartments? This is less footage. These are still neighbors who surround you from all sides. Is this merely an investment move? Or is it still, considering that you will be residing there, do you find my apartment comfortable for living in?
Sure, I questioned this to me. The response to the query is quite simple. That is the answer we can provide. A residence similar to the one in Bali, boasting panoramic views, is currently priced at around $3 million in the market. Thus, I made the decision not to go to extremes and instead opt for a gradual approach in order to steadily progress towards my goals. Also, it's nice to live in apartments. I really like that there's full service there, that having lived in a house and not in a cottage village, you feel that you lack service. So this particular moment is completely satisfied and contented here in this specific place. Another crucial aspect is that I really enjoy panoramic stories, and panoramic stories in Bali can be quite expensive in terms of cost. Next to the apartments, there is a complete infrastructure, a large number of restaurants, schools, kindergartens.
The project is likely full, right?
The project involves a co-working space, restaurant, swimming pool, and massage facilities.
That's what we're used to here in flats.
Yes, and everything is correct in one complex. So for Bali, this is still a new story, not so characteristic. I also want to highlight the fact that personally I have encountered projects where there are genuinely townhouses or villas, despite the fact that in Bali they say there is high profitability, and everywhere, so to speak, there are various projects. And I personally have encountered projects where profitability reaches 25 to 30 years. Therefore, Bali Rose, as they say, should be approached with full consciousness. Without a doubt, any apartment will outperform the villa in terms of return on investment, ensuring a higher rate of financial gain.
I heard they'll still build some kind of amusement park in Bali. Is it far from this location?
Yes, indeed, it is true. There has been news in the Indonesian media that the construction will commence in September of the year 2023. During the pandemic, this project was temporarily suspended. This is in the same direction towards the north, at a distance of approximately 80 kilometers to the north. What is the name of it? It is called Paramount Park. It spans over an area of more than 600 hectares and has an investment size of over $900 million.
Is this an approved project yet?
Approved project. Construction apparently started in September as per public media reports.
And will they build it?
And I comprehended that the beginning of input is from 2025. However, in accordance with that is in 25.
All our investors who invest in your project, will suddenly become rich because the growth from the location nearby and within 80 kilometers will be even greater than we planned.
Without a doubt, such projects invariably add value as they have the ability to attract a large number of tourists. And it is already known with a high level of reliability that a second runway will be constructed in the near future. I understand that these are also partly related stories. This is an approved project because they want to expand the tourist flow, not only the flow, but also the airport capacity.
Tell me, please, what type of individual are you? What is your opinion?
I have a strong belief that I am a kind-hearted person, highly motivated and goal-oriented, and also someone who has a deep passion for innovations, while simultaneously cherishing stability and consistency in life. A great combo.
So you have successfully managed to combine this caution and practicality. And what are your top 3 most important core values? For you personally.
Principles. The importance of family cannot be overstated. It holds immense value in my life and is a top priority for me. Furthermore, most likely to elucidate in a wide-ranging manner, encompassing my parents as well as my sister. And for me, value is, please inform me of your thoughts on the matter. Work, I think, is also an important value for me, especially for any man. Yes, and I think self-realization is very important for a woman. Yes, important. And the third value that I cultivate in myself, I'm convinced that it is not completely disclosed to me, is creativity. Evidently, I hit 40 this year. It's time to give it more attention, pay more heed to it.
This is an age of consciousness.
It's time, yes.
And what is Luciana's feeling about all of your projects and new ideas? Does she provide support for you?
In general, she provides me with support, but like any mother, she has worries and concerns about stability in the future. And on certain occasions, my projects tend to have a highly innovative and ambitious sound that is truly remarkable and captivating. And in this regard, we periodically have various discussions about whether we are doing everything right.
Compromise, as I get it, is found as all these projects are being executed. It turns out like this. Did Lucian immediately support this project? Did it take a long time to agree? Because as far as I remember from today's interview, you said that you are planning to live in this apartment with children.
Yes, the decision naturally was not an easy one. There was a great deal of discussion. There were numerous concerns. Yet I made the case that why not give it a shot? If it doesn't pan out, we can always go back to square one. And it proved to be helpful, but in general, that is the way things are and how they typically unfold. So for me, it is always additionally uncertainty. It is a step into the unknown, however. In my belief, considering the age of my children, I am firmly convinced that the most crucial aspect at present is cultivating good relationships, which, as a general observation, are a notable characteristic of the people from Bali. I believe that if they do not calculate integrals at this moment and speak English or any other language flawlessly, it will be suitable for me. Key is to have a process for them to enjoy it and to protect children's mental well-being.
And do the kids already know they'll be arriving nearby in Bali soon?
Yes, surely, we discussed everything with them.
How did they respond?
Elia is typically laid back when it comes to such projects. She consistently provides me with her support, and she already possesses prior experience in a kindergarten catering to expatriates in Buenos Aires, Argentina. As a consequence, it was. When she arrived, everyone welcomed her in this manner, and the teachers departed in this manner. Generally, everyone adored her, and here, based on our sentiments, Lucien and I believe that everything will proceed without any issues. And Martin. Martin is affected by dyslexia, just like all gifted individuals. Dyslexia is a common trait among highly talented people, often associated with unique strengths and creative abilities.
Yes, geniuses have that.
Yes, here. The main thing is for Evgenia to grasp the school. But what pleased me was that we were completing a survey, and there is a part about whether your kids have dyslexia or dysgraphia, and to attach the necessary papers. So I hope that this educational institution takes these characteristics into consideration. Therefore, this is a pure experiment.
Dima, I can see a breathtaking, beautiful house behind you, along with a wonderful plot. Please be completely honest with me. Was this house primarily funded by the proceeds from the apartments you sold in this area, or did you also utilize some other resources for investment?
I constructed the house 8 years in the past. That is to say, the apartments emerged a lot later. The primary source of income from the house number was specifically the car business, which I initiated at the age of 23 during my third year of college. And during this time, a house appeared. So the brief history of Mark is as follows. He had a decent business related to the food industry. And he, if I'm not wrong, had about 1,000 workers.
Wow.
Yes, same here. Occasionally, Mark can be surprising. I will be truthful here. And then he sold for a variety of political, rather, reasons, which were related to COVID-19 and other factors that played a role in his decision here. And he began to search for himself in other countries. So he was in the States, in Mexico. Continue. I also journeyed across Asia, I believe, and to the best of my knowledge, his spouse suggested, let's give Bali a try. Here they are.
Oh, these wives. And look, here he is, just as we expected him to be, right on time and ready to join us. Sorry, I'll interrupt. I believe that after our talk, everyone will hurry to marry and have kids.
Well, it's not that bad. Perhaps even good. And he says, I am sitting in Bali. I do not know what to do.
Let's create, yes, said his wife. Let's build.
And he says, damn, I need to bring something from Russia. He thinks, and there is nothing. And he says, let me create a company that makes it possible. Here a person is giving away his suitcase. He has a ticket. They are filling it out for him, and he is getting paid for it. His first business started in Bali in the 20th year in 2010. And I will say that when Mark informed me of the amount of profit this business generates, I was, to put it mildly, taken aback. Well, make $30,000–$40,000 per month by selling suitcases. This idea definitely occurred to me earlier, but I never took it seriously. Here is an individual who succeeded in recalling it, and it truly functions. Then he started Business Exchangers, a network of 22 exchangers under the brand Butler, well known in Bali. The reputation of the brand is easily verifiable, as I called my friends and acquaintances in Bali to ask about Butler. And each and every individual formed an opinion regarding the reputation of the proprietor, considering that Mark is the only owner. Consequently, the reputation of Butler is a direct representation of Mark, so to speak. I did not discover anything negative here. Subsequently, I additionally encountered his family. In addition, he has a total of 3 children. This includes his mother as well. Furthermore, I must emphasize that my impression of their family is overwhelmingly positive.
Why not Dubai? Why Bali? The tax base in Dubai is more interesting.
Yes, so to the best of my knowledge, the initial tax rate for the transaction of an item in Dubai is 4%.
4% when buying.
When buying an object from us, here we pay the tax first, and then when selling it further. There is a commonly followed practice where the cost can be adjusted to a slight extent, albeit in a minor way. Let's refer to it as that, which goes through the deal, but this is already regarding the secondary market. I am merely conveying to you the approach employed by others in handling this matter, and the effective rate of this tax in the end turns out to be highly comparable to Dubai in terms of its similarity. The only thing I want to emphasize is that I've encountered it through personal experience, which means that when selling real estate, a 10% tax is paid on the value, not on the income minus expenses, but on the total amount, the one that is officially declared in the transaction. However, if you are not a resident, to be more precise, it is preferable to say, do not have a tax number, in which case the tax rate is 20%. Yes, this is unfortunate news, and the good news is that there is an underestimation which is being practiced, and currently for about $1,500, you have the opportunity to arrange a kite that grants you the privilege of permanently residing in Bali and entitles you to obtain a tax identification number. If you're determined, you can make a serious sale in about a month or 2. You can even do it offshore without being in Bali. Just come and complete the formalities in advance, starting early for $1,500. It's a great opportunity you shouldn't miss. Number processing, you become resident, rate not 20 but 10. Because not necessary to live exactly 6 months, you have a tax number assigned to you. That is sufficient. This is positive information. Additionally, there is another aspect. I was in Dubai in May and I was engaged in conversation. I have individuals who work in real estate and we spoke to them not much about selling something but more about their industry expertise. I informed you about our complex, suggesting we sell you something. They told me in a friendly manner about what's happening with them. For instance, signals such as the primary real estate market, which is under construction for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, frequently has a higher price compared to the secondary market. This implies that with the same amount of money or less, one can purchase a pre-existing property, which is a negative indication for me. The fact that there are entire buildings with 20, 30 floors, and there are only investors present and no one has ever resided there, personally for me this is also a negative signal. Yes, that is, it is clear where those casinos and so on are located. Most likely that is where we should look for clues. The only thing I like is that I don't know how to do it. I think good objects can be found there, but you have to try hard. If you're a handsome guy who took the first object of the largest developer, right now you can easily fail.
In general, while everyone is hurrying to Dubai like ants, it is essential to separate from the crowd and reinvest in Bali.
And to see, so to speak, the future for a year, 2 years in advance. Moreover, economically, all these cycles cannot be cancelled. No one can.
What about inflation there? How is it?
At present, Indonesia holds the 7th position in the global rankings, indicating its prominent status among countries worldwide. However, the growth rate of the Indonesian economy is approximately 5% per annum, making it one of the highest in the world. If this rate remains constant, it is not an exaggeration to say that Indonesia has a real chance of easily becoming the 5th largest economy globally. Furthermore, a captivating fact for me was that the population of Indonesia is around 250 million people in total. Another intriguing fact is that roughly 80% of the tourist influx is comprised of Indonesians, which is quite noteworthy. That is, the flow of tourists within the country is a relatively stable source of income over time.
Dima, well, why bother with Bali if you have property in Dubai? Here I arrived, bought myself an apartment for a 30-year lease.
30 years with the first right of renewal, which means the landlord is obligated to renew if you don't refuse.
So I have preferential extension?
Yes, in case you do not consistently refuse, then it is your obligation to fulfill.
Persist definition?
Well, wait, we're here. Well, if you don't. So you don't actually come and say that I need to extend, so if you disappear, in this case, the landlord may not extend you. If you say I need to extend, landlord is obliged to extend to you.
Who is our landlord? You?
Indonesia. We have, it turns out, our plot is taken in lease by Indonesia, and we, accordingly, are bound by their terms.
This is physicist Jurek. Who is he there? Individual, by the way. And if he, well, that...
Here, correct. This is life, particularly during 30 years. This is not a small amount. Here it is. Everyone walks under God. Just 2 months ago last year, I was studying Bali market. Approximately a month and a half, I had been working on the topic of the lease agreement in my mind. Because in my understanding, well, Lisa, it's like a literal lease agreement. However, according to Indonesian law, it is not precisely considered a lease agreement. In my opinion, I would describe it as a temporary property right with more accuracy and precision. Because all duties and responsibilities at this moment are transferred specifically to the person who owns this lease agreement, Lisa. So it's not like we have there. A lease agreement is not super protected, in my opinion. In that location, these contracts bear resemblance to temporary property rights. Here. Therefore, you are unable to just come and pick it up. Contract not with specific person, but with family. Here is such a cool thing. Affirmative. Thus, a stamp is present with fingerprints adhering to it.
Does your physicist have a family?
Yes, that is, we don't have a contract with a person. There's a main one, but interesting info, even I didn't know. Yes, it's stated that kids, grandkids, all, in short, everyone in this contract is obligated. And let us say his son cannot get out of this contract that his father signed. Here, that is, I'm referring to the fact that this classic story.
First and foremost, it is important to comprehend that in Bali, there is no entitlement to property ownership. That is, there exists a leasehold right, which is the right to the temporary use of the real estate object that you acquire. And this right can be urgent, that is, for a period of 30 years, for 50, for 80, and so on. At the same time, there are also guarantees for the holder of this right, that is, it is not possible to unilaterally terminate the leasehold agreement, long-term lease, ahead of schedule. That is, this can only be achieved by means of mutual agreement reached between both parties involved. Rental agreements can be formalized by notaries or in simple written form, and both options are legitimate. Essentially, there is no big difference. But the convenience of formalizing through a notary provides some additional guarantees when the notary verifies the legal validity of the transaction, proper registration of rights for each party, controls and withholds taxes, transfers them as a tax agent of the Indonesian budget on your behalf. The right of leasehold is temporary. When the term expires, in some cases there is an option to extend this right of leasehold for an additional 20 or 30 years, up to a maximum of 80. If there is no mutual agreement between the parties on this point, and for instance, if the landowner does not wish to extend the leasehold right for an additional 20 or 30 years, then the right expires, and the land plot, as well as the property, should not be returned to the landowner under any circumstances or conditions whatsoever. It is also crucial to consider, especially when purchasing apartments, when investing, to take into consideration the duration of land usage beneath your building, beneath your apartments, as it will ultimately rely on the maximum duration of the leasehold that you can obtain through your investments. It is important to consider that the right to inheritance is regulated by the laws of the country where the testator resides. If the heir resided during his lifetime, for instance in Russia, then the inheritance is formalized in accordance with the laws of Russia that are applicable in such cases. People go to the notary, heirs formalize their rights there. The notary issues a certificate of inheritance. This certificate is either apostilled or legalized through consular legalization, which means a special stamp is placed on the document. And with this document you will have the ability to submit an application to a notary at the BL and officially register the rights to the apartment for the heir. It is pleasant to observe that there is no gift tax between close relatives at the BL. Therefore, there will be no tax on such a transfer of apartment gift to a close relative on Bali. But it's important to note who, as per Balinese law, is deemed a close relative. No marriage contract, property acquired during marriage by spouses, is considered joint common property if there is no marriage contract. So it's split in half in divorce. Other provisions may be set by a marriage contract. Simultaneously, it is crucial to consider that if the property was given to one of the spouses as a gift during the marriage, it belongs to them individually, is not divided between the spouses, and is not regarded as their shared marital property. If the property was obtained by the spouse prior to marriage, it is also considered their individual property and is not subject to division in the event of a divorce. If spouses cannot agree on how to divide property in the event of divorce, they will be required to go to court. And it is important to note that in Bali, in addition to civil legislation, there are also traditional adat laws, which is based on the customs traditions of the country, and there are numerous specific nuances. Therefore, In order to avoid entering this risky field, it is advisable to take precautions, conclude prenuptial agreements when getting married or during the marriage so that no misunderstandings arise. And it's important to note that foreign court decisions in Bali do not automatically apply. They need to be legalized in a special manner. So, it will be necessary to initiate a legal process in Bali which recognizes the court decision and its legitimacy on the territory of Bali. This is a rather labor-intensive process. Once again, it is worth avoiding it. In other words, it is easier to conclude a marriage contract and not enter such risky areas, not wasting time or money. In Bali, taxes are levied on non-residents. The applicable tax rate in this case is 20%. In addition, there is a value-added tax, VAT, in Bali that is imposed when purchasing apartments. Typically, VAT will be incurred and the applicable rate is 11%. Additionally, notaries impose a 1% commission for carrying out transactions, which is calculated based on the contract amount and is accompanied by their verification to ensure its legitimacy. There is also a tax levied on the sale of real estate. In the event that the property is transferred by means of the right of leasehold, then, as a general rule, it can be expected that the tax rate applicable to the sale will be 10%. The tax is paid by the transferring party in leasehold, and it is calculated based on the contract value. The receiving party is exempt from paying the tax, except when the transferring party has a tax number in Indonesia, in which case a 10% tax will be applicable to them. The tax does not apply to the receiving party under normal circumstances. If he is not, and it is just a foreigner who does not have a tax number in Indonesia, then the rate will increase from 10 to 20%. So the tax will essentially be twice as high. In Indonesia, there is a land tax and property tax. Is pajak bumi dan bangunan PBB 0.2% per year. Bangunan PBB 0.2% per year. Typically, his management company collects payments from all owners and tenants of apartments and systematically transfers the funds to the budget of Indonesia on a regular basis. At the same time, tenants and owners have the right to control and ensure that the management company collects taxes in a timely manner and transfers them to the budget of Indonesia. This is crucial because if these taxes are not paid on time, it would be a violation of the contracts for the use of land, plots, and real estate, which could have legal consequences for both parties involved. This will be a substantial violation of the land use agreement, and there could potentially be claims from the landowner to the management company, co-owners, and tenants of the apartments. And this can be considered a material breach of the contract. And in particular, the contract may be terminated early on these grounds. To prevent these adverse consequences, it is recommended to monitor the adequate execution of the management company's responsibility to make payments for land and property taxes on behalf of apartment owners. In doing so, there will be no such issues naturally.
All things are constructed and established on the foundation of relationships. That is a timeless and enduring characteristic. Balinese is not Indonesian. It is important to understand that these are different cultures. Balinese and Indonesian. Thus, Hinduism is one of the religions observed by the Balinese. O Lord. Conversely, Indonesians are primarily adherents of Islam as their religion. Muslims, right? Muslims, here. And accordingly for them, this promise, what you agreed upon, is of significant importance because it holds great meaning and carries immense weight for their community.
Mentality constructed based on values?
Regarding values, as all of this is confirmed, yes, confirmed, but primarily by their nature, they are not a conflicting people if you behave correctly. If you do not do any unpleasant things to them, then they are quite friendly individuals. This is one. And secondly, the concept of karma is highly developed among the Balinese people. So they are all afraid of the gods and anger them. Accordingly, if a person is good, he treats you well, he does a good deed, we develop the region, we plan to take care of the beach. In other words, the district, the region of Camogia, will only benefit from our project. By the way, I personally had a conversation with my partner. We visited the head of Camogia, who expressed strong positivity towards our project. He stated that he is impressed with the work you are doing and the investments being made. And in accordance with this, it's important. That is to say, supporting people who do good for your region is crucial. That is, for example, in the same Europe, 90 days in half a year. This is a regular story. And then, if you want to live accordingly, you must resolve the visa issue, long-term ones, education, work, etc. Furthermore, as an illustration, in Bali, it is significantly more convenient to have a diverse range of helpers around the house, due to the fact that the average salary amounts to approximately $200, $300 for individuals residing in Indonesia. At the same time, almost all of them speak English because English is taught in secondary school, and many people in Indonesia and Bali are fluent in English. A big plus for me that you took the necessary number of people, they visited you, easier to invite relatives and so on. In Bali, you can come and open a bank account with a Visa card, MasterCard, and so on for a small amount of money. The major advantage is that all internet banks in Bali have an English version, which is a huge plus for users from around the world. So you don't need to learn Indonesian Bahasa to use the bank. Another huge plus, they have European sockets, and all government websites are also in English. So there is an English version.
Regarding selling real estate, entered project, invested 30%, installment plan, realized can't cope with payments, anything can happen, or decided to change country for investment. How can I minimize my losses? The growth has already happened, well, let's say, I don't know, 8 months have gone by, 7 months have gone by. I opted to quit, spent 210K, now costs, let's say, around 250, 260K, unsure of exact amount, project shortfall, bought 210K worth 250, 260K.
The next phase of expansion is 230, and the ultimate one is already in the final stages of construction. When it will be prepared, 260. That is roughly a 30% growth during the construction phase.
Okay, with delta or total sum, is there an expendable part that is utilized here? Here I purchased for 210 and can deduct as an expenditure.
Here is still much better, without a doubt.
Even easier?
Even simpler. Therefore, due to the fact that we are documenting, as a result, make sure to take a notebook and a pen. Story of how I bought my first apartment. Initially, a contract is signed, a memorandum of understanding stipulating that we, as humans, construct a facility, conduct repairs, and furnish it to ensure accuracy and completeness in the process. In accordance with this, the agreement may be notarized, or it may exist in a simple written form depending on the circumstances. Both are recognized as legitimate in the legislation of Indonesia according to the law. And in the event of selling the object, that is, for instance, taken for 210, paid 30% as a down payment, paid in installments over several months, the price increased to 230, for example, $1,000, and the decision was made to sell. In this instance, let's do it. The building has not been put into operation, SLF has not been obtained. This is a document that serves as confirmation of the operation that has been successfully completed. In accordance with this, it can be said that this is, in a manner of speaking, a contract for subcontracting that exists between us and the client. If he has the right, this individual can assign this contract, and as a result, there will be no tax imposed on the sale of these items at a rate of 10% and 20% respectively.
Assignment of lease rights, is that?
That is, the assignment of lease rights, and the person takes all the delta for himself, no tax is levied on the body, and with this delta, the tax on personal income arises at the discretion of the person himself in the country where he is a resident. But it is necessary to understand that here everything, so to speak, is at the discretion of the person himself.
Dima, please inform me, what is the likelihood of the construction of your project being frozen? Does the developer construct using their own funds or with the funds provided by investors who purchase apartments in that particular development? Do you have any safety cushion?
At present, we have around 40, which is closer to 50%, of the total amount that is required for the construction project. We are still in need of additional funds to meet the full cost of the project. And we still have approximately 12 to 13 months ahead. Considering the income model of my business, Mark's business, I am confident that it will not be challenging for us to solely finish the construction using our own funds in the worst-case scenario.
I don't think it'll happen because I'm sure that after today's dialogue, I won't be the only one who loves this. But when you calculate your profitability for these apartments and declare it, do you take into account this tax base? Or did you still declare a return on apartment rentals of 13 to 20% without considering the impact of taxation on your overall profitability and net income?
Good question. This is already taken care of, already comprehended. This is already inclusive of tax. This is already including tax. This rate is 10% and 20%. It is applied including the income generated from renting the property. This is bad news.
Good or bad time coming?
There is good news, yes. That is, well, actually, just like in our country, there is, well, sort of like a law, and there is reality. Well, you know, and it seems to me this is, of course, everywhere. In accordance with this, the unfortunate news is the implementation of a 10-20% income tax. Positive news, companies based in Indonesia's popular tourist destination, Bali, do not have direct communication with the country's tax authorities. There is a tax agent present, and there is a tax agent that specifically belongs to you. You must be friends with him, you must be friends.
Impressive.
He is friends with taxmen.
And you are in possession.
He is present in all companies in Bali, and of course we have it too. Consequently, the tax agent suggests methods to effectively reduce the tax burden in accordance with the regulations and requirements.
And his consultation received from your company is a gift.
We work with him as it is our responsibility, since our management company initially collects income and subsequently distributes it. In line with this, she collects, resolves all tax issues, and then distributes the net profit that has been obtained. Accordingly, you can say, as a gift here. And the most interesting thing is that if a tax audit occurs, it comes not to the company, but to the agent. Therefore, the tax agent resolves all questions, ensuring a satisfactory resolution for all parties involved in the process. And on our side, we have an accountant, even probably the main accountant by language. Well, how to say, you can't call our language because he prepares documents, and you can say the main accountant is in this tax agent. Returning to your question, in my opinion, the first floor, if rented for 210, has the potential to generate an annual net income of 40,000 already netted.
How much will I pay the agency for the transaction? There are agency services like everywhere.
Regarding room sales?
Yes.
The commission rate for transactions in the Balinese market ranges from 3% to 5%. This is the experience I've encountered.
How is it more profitable to buy? As a company or as an individual, for further manipulation with this property?
Yes, it depends greatly on the volume of investments made to determine the outcome and is subject to variation. That is, if you want to take, I possess a substantial sum, substantial quantity. Okay, you own a lot.
I visualize already, you see, tuned to yours.
I would then invest using a company, potentially even utilizing a company based in Hong Kong with regards to this specific topic.
Better to start a company?
If you have an offshore company in Hong Kong that owns apartments on Bali, accordingly, if you decide to transfer these apartments, you are selling either a share or the entire company in Hong Kong. Hong Kong does not impose any tax on capital gains, making it an attractive destination for investors seeking tax advantages. Accordingly, from Bali's perspective, the owner does not change, because the Hong Kong company remained the same as it was before.
But this is for big-scale investors.
Yes, I believe it is already relevant from approximately 5 different locations. Already relevant because, firstly, Hong Kong legislation is currently one of the leaders in venture legislation in stock. And there has been recent news that the Hong Kong Central Bank obliges banks to establish friendly relationships with cryptocurrency exchanges in Hong Kong, according to reports. So it will be super, and there is already a super crypto-friendly story.
And most importantly, Dima, we discussed your project extensively today, but we completely overlooked mentioning the location where a person should go if they want to purchase an apartment. What resources are available? Can you place personal contacts on the website?
Yes, in general, we are fairly easy to locate on the internet, and in the comments section, we will provide a link to the project. There are contact details.
At the bottom of the video, Dima, how can I actually decide on all this? Just tell me how to solve this. Here I am, a newbie, I don't understand anything about this. You mentioned a strong environment, go to everyone, ask for an opinion, feel support, overcome your fears. What other tools do you require in order to take a risk? Get married, have 3 children, and desire unrestricted movement around the world, correct?
Yes, by the way, you're right. It's crucial to want it. Without it, little will be achieved. Just want it, really want it to the point of shivers.
And then elevate the 5th point upwards.
And to act. Yes, that's what I wanted to say, that without actions, well, there are no options. That is. And view it as an adventure, gaining valuable experience. That is, if you comprehend that things will either turn out fine or not so great, but the knowledge you will acquire is unquestionably worth enduring, it is undeniably worth experiencing in this lifetime, then you can pursue it without any regrets.
And what do you want to say in conclusion to those who are watching us?
I'd like to mention that investing in Bali is definitely... Gaining an understanding of the philosophy of Bali without an open heart is quite a difficult task. Accordingly, if there is this call, then one must act, not wait.
Congratulations, you have been successfully hired by us.